What is up, denizens of the internet?
Denizens. I like that. That's a good word.
Thank you.
Let's start things off with a good word.
Start
I like
things
it.
off with I guess it's a good Scrabble word with that Z in there.
Hell yeah.
You
That's
get
high
that Z
scoring
on a
and
triple
fair.
letter or like a triple word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's juicy. This is Tech Yet Gaming episode 11.
Which, I can't remember if we discussed this, but that's my favorite number.
11's your favorite number?
Yep. I was born on 9/11, which sucks now, but when I was young, it was cool. I weighed 9 pounds, 11 ounces. Big baby.
That was a big baby. I was over 9 pounds too.
So 11's always been in my life. I like it.
Wow, 11 guy over here.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome. Thanks for listening. This is a podcast where, as you probably guessed by the name, we talk a big game.
We do talk a big game. More than we talk about games, we talk a big game.
Yeah. And occasionally we'll talk about video games as well.
We do talk about quite a few video games. So I guess we'll start with the normal starting procedure.
Yeah.
Leo,
I'm ready.
what you been getting into this last week?
Well, it's been an interesting week. I've been doing the Division, of course. Not
Yeah.
a whole lot new to say about that. It's still
Division
fun.
2 specifically.
Yeah, excuse me,
for
Division
the
2.
listeners out there.
For the uninitiated. It's fine. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. It's good.
I've been really debating on buying it.
Again, as soon as you buy it, it's going to go on sale.
I know. It's just like I keep seeing people like say like it's not the best game, but it's the most MMO like kind of grind out game that's out there.
And it's solidly built. Like the netcode's good. It's stable, more or less. It's a little glitchy, but compared to some other games, it's really stable. The world's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's fun, man. I'm really enjoying it.
But
And this is coming from someone who didn't play the first one a lot.
But I do like to play solo, and I hear solo in that game is not so great.
I mean, it'd be like playing an MMO solo. I don't
Yeah.
know how different that is, really.
I do a lot of that.
It's fun. But anyway, so I've been playing that. That's cool.
Mhm.
I actually started playing Elder Scrolls Blades on my phone, more out of curiosity.
Okay, what do you? So I saw you had to like download it and then sign up on the site and hopefully get in.
Yeah, it was really lame. The way they rolled it out, this is what happened to me. And from what I understand, this is a common occurrence. I downloaded it. I saw it in the App Store. I was like, cool, Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, it's
I'm
out.
into that shit. I want a good mobile game. I've been waiting. I download it, and it runs. It opens, and you have this little intro where you fight a Thalmor dude, and it looks cool. And as soon as you're done, it says, we're sorry, you don't have access to early access. Please download this when you do. What the fuck?
Yeah, what kind of dog shit is
What
that?
is that? And then on a whim, a few days ago, I just tried it again just to see, and it worked perfectly.
Oh, you
and I got
in.
in. I got into the early access. So I've been playing that. It's cool.
Congratulations.
It looks great, but it's very much a mobile game. There's cooldowns and jewels, and it's cool. It's
Mhm.
free. I do like the way it goes from landscape to portrait flawlessly.
Oh,
That's very cool. I've never seen a game do it that well. So that's nice. And it's free.
cool. Yeah.
Looks great. It's like a tech demo. It's fine.
Yeah.
Got no complaints.
I saw a video of someone playing it, and it seemed okay.
Yeah.
The combat looked.
I actually like the combat.
Do you?
It's surprisingly good. It's not super deep, but it's compelling enough that I actually enjoy fighting.
I would say the village building looks kind of interesting. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's gated behind
It is. It's like
long clocks.
yeah, clocks are the thing. You basically collect chests, and then to open them, it takes time.
No
But
sense.
honestly, I kind of am not super mad about that because I kind of like checking in every once in a while, like once a day check-in kind of a thing. It's sort of kind of compelling. I feel like I'm doing something. I don't know. It sucks, but it's it's a good mobile game, which is not very high praise,
yeah.
especially compared to something like Stardew Valley or Knights of the Old Republic, which you can also get on your phone.
Yeah, there's so many like real games
Yeah.
making transition to mobile
For sure.
that it's so hard to justify
It
like
is.
mobile games.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's free and it looks great. So it's almost worth trying just for that. And actually, today they just made it open to everyone. So if you want to try it, we'd be curious to
I'll
hear your
try it
thoughts.
over the weekend. That's
We
actually
don't
pretty
talk a lot about mobile gaming, but it's something I try and dabble in from time to time.
That's pretty interesting.
So I've been playing that today, though. And what I really want to talk about, I had to make a video for work where I had to get a bunch of old games.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant I was like, yeah, no problem. I busted out Steam and good old games, and I kind of went through and just downloaded all my real old ones,
Yeah. I actually have this, I'll let you get back into it, but I actually have an email
Oh, okay, please.
that kind of talks about this.
Oh, there you go. I'd love to hear it.
It's from Vivian.
Okay. Hey, Vivian, thanks for listening.
Vivian, do I have to use my real name? Is how she listed her
The
name.
answer is no.
No, you don't. But you
Of course
did.
you don't.
But you did. We'll call her. We won't say it again. We'll say V.
We already said it once.
Yeah, but people might forget. Okay. As each generation moves on, more and more people will forget about classic games like Chrono Trigger or Secret of Mana.
Oh.
It would be awesome if video game companies could do a remake of the classics, kind of like what Disney is currently doing now with their live-action movies. Which games do you think are worthy of remake?
Resident Evil 2 would be a great candidate for that.
Yeah, remakes are quite popular right now. But what games that haven't been remade could you see getting like the full-on, like the Resident Evil 2 treatment? I will say this. A lot of games have been remade. Not a lot of games have been remade like Resident Evil 2.
Absolutely.
I think that's a special way to do it.
Mhm.
And I think up-reses and all that stuff, whatever, I don't really consider those what
Yeah,
she's talking
Those
about.
are still valuable, but it's a little different.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, I think we talked about last week, like really getting to the heart of these games
Yeah.
and kind of recreating that emotion is what
It's very hit or miss, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about the Link's Awakening remake. That's one of my favorite games of all time, and I think if that's a perfect example of if they can keep the soul of that intact, then that could be extremely
I'm excited about
awesome.
the art style of it.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
A lot of people don't like the way it looks. I don't really care. It's like that's not that important to me. It's not like the original is super beautiful. It's impressive for the time.
Yeah, and the new one looks sharp. Like
It does, yeah.
Like,
It looks
it's got
good.
that really nice tilt shift effect. Like,
Mhm.
you can. I don't understand people at like. Okay, last week I was like ripping on devs the whole time for
Yeah.
like hating on like customers,
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna hate on customers.
That's fine.
You don't own this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't own the visual style of Zelda.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
And you remember the Wind Waker kerfuffle.
yeah.
It's like, shut up. After that, just shut the fuck
just
up.
shut up. Like,
Yeah.
right? Like you don't know. I work, I make emails for a living, right? Like
Mhm.
I work in the marketing department, and it took me a while to understand, like, I'm not the person to go to decide all of the design choices.
Yeah.
We have designers in place to do that. And even if it's not my favorite design, I need to be able to take my hands off and accept
Yeah.
that they're doing a thing, and it might not be my favorite thing, but like it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And it's like when I see these kids like, oh, this looks like trash and for kids, and it's like, I think it looks cool, but even if you don't, just shut your mouth.
Yeah. Who cares?
Who
It's
cares?
not for you then.
Yeah, who cares? It's a silly Zelda. It's
Yeah.
one of these sillier.
Well, I don't know about that. I'd say it's one of the darker ones, but I do know what you mean in terms of like, yeah, there's some interesting tonal shifts in that game.
Yeah,
Because there's like funny, weird stuff like Mario appearances and stuff.
Yeah,
but it's also one of the really darkest, saddest ones, which is
Zelda-
why I really like it.
Zelda is such a dark series.
It is some
You know
more
what I
than
mean?
others. This one I'd say and Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess are the darkest.
Yeah, Majora's Mask is terrifying.
Majora's Mask is it's on a whole other level. That game is like, and that fills you with like existential dread, like almost no game I've ever encountered.
I feel like playing it as a child or like as a early teenager,
Yeah,
I somehow was able to like compartmentalize it and not think about the things that were
Yeah.
in it. And then I see it as an adult, or I've tried to play it on emulators,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, this is like horrendous. Like
yeah. I mean, it's
Like-
an amazing game, but yeah, it is.
when Link puts on the mask and is
The
just
Deku mask?
screaming, yeah, and you're just like, I've never heard him
And
make
his
a
like
sound.
soul is being
Yeah,
ripped
and
out
he's
of
just
him.
like You're
Yeah,
just like, what? This is like the
Yeah.
worst thing I've ever seen.
and some of those stories are tragic. Like they're all coming to terms with the end of the world, and
Mhm.
it's great. It's a great game. Don't get us wrong, but it is definitely not a particularly pleasant game.
Yeah, and Link's story is always a story of like loss.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like it's always
especially young Link. Like he's been through a lot, man.
Yeah, he always loses everything in the beginning.
Yeah.
right? It's always like, Link to the Past, his uncle dies.
yeah.
You don't know. In original Zelda, who knows? Like,
Well, yeah, that's true. And even Ocarina of Time, he loses his childhood
yeah, loses
because he goes from a kid to an adult
Mhm.
overnight, and he's like, "What? He loses 7 years?
Loses
That's a
7.
big deal."
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway,
What are some games you'd like to see pop back up?
Yeah, well, just to kind of get back into this, because this will come full circle. I played a bunch of old PC games just to kind of showcase old games, and I figured I'll capture original footage because I have access to it, and it was fun. I just installed. I went all the way back to old D&D games, like from the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
Like
Certainly,
the Neverwinter games and stuff.
no, way older. Like,
That's like there's 90s Neverwinter games, I think.
yeah, I did install Neverwinter Nights as well, which is much newer. Obviously,
Mhm.
that was like 98 or something. But I also did Wolfenstein 3D, and I played a bunch of first-person shooters. The first System Shock, that's almost unplayable just because it's so different, the way it controls. Quake is awesome. I jumped right into Quake. Yeah, I was like, this is so confusing weird, and I busted out Quake. It was immediately just strafing and murdering. It was awesome. Quake is great.
Quake
it's aged
so
really well.
Yeah.
What else? Just a bunch of random stuff, and it really kind of put me in mind of like, man, these games that are old, they're beautiful and interesting and so cool to play, but they're not. They're almost unplayable now.
Yeah.
And through no fault of theirs, obviously.
That was a different time.
Let me make it very clear. These are really extraordinarily important games, and I'm sure, like anything else, if you sat down with it for a few hours and just kind of got in the flow, you could do it. I recently beat System Shock 2, and that took a lot of getting used to, and even that one's much more modern than the first one. But even that, it took a lot of getting no waypoints, even a waypoints alone. I'm so used to now. Not having that option is totally mind-boggling. It's funny.
Yeah, we've developed these standards in games that we don't really notice.
Yeah.
It's kind of that conversation I was having about Resident Evil 2, how it's nothing like the first one.
No, but it is. Like, the soul's there, but it's everything is better.
Everything's better.
Yeah, so anyway, the reason I bring it up is because when it comes to remakes, figuring out that, like we were talking about last week, figuring out how to preserve the soul, pulling out all the beautiful art and the cool ideas and the interesting writing and all that from these sort of archaic packages that some of them you can barely even run, even if you want to. Like you have to use emulators and so on. And then putting that in a shiny new body, there's nothing better than that, but it hardly ever happens.
Yeah, it's
like, what are some great remakes? Resident Evil 2.
Resident Evil 2.
I'm sure there's a few. And again, there's a difference between like a nice HD retexturing versus a full remake. It'll be interesting to see how Final Fantasy VII turns out. I do not have high hopes for it.
No, I think Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly, which is that kind of defeats the point.
Yeah, I think it's going to be that style of game. Like, it looks like an action combat game.
Yeah.
I think they like that style. I think Square likes that style.
Clearly, ever since like 13, that's the direction they've been going in, which is fine. Whatever.
Really into that.
Really into that.
Well, that kind of action combat.
Yeah,
thing,
totally.
You know, and I think that's their idea, is that we'll make a modern Final Fantasy VII in this Final Fantasy 15 vein, because that was so popular. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure Final Fantasy 15 actually sold a ton of copies.
Well,
so.
I mean, they've been putting out DLC for 50 years, so I'm sure it sold a few.
I bought one, so I'm as bad as
it's fine. I have not played it.
It's fine. No, it's not fine, actually. It's bad.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. It's fine for the first... It didn't seem long.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I mean, when I've played a lot of Final Fantasy games. Yeah, I beat it pretty quickly, actually. Huh. It seemed short. And
that's why they released 400 DLC packs.
And the second half, I mean, it seems short because the second half of it is literally like, it's like you're rolling downhill, but not gracefully. You're like falling,
like
down
tumbling.
A hill. Yeah, you're tumbling down a hill
in a pile of homoerotic men.
But yeah, you immediately know who the bad. Like, there's supposed to be like this plot of like, oh, this guy's the bad guy. You know from the very beginning that he's the bad guy. There's no like mystery to it.
Yeah.
It's the pacing is so poor. You can just tell that game was developmentally so challenged, and so
because it went through a lot,
so thrown together, because of it, and it's really sad because I think that there's a lot going for it in the beginning, and then it just kind of falls apart.
Yeah, well, it's funny you bring up Final Fantasy because this will probably be the last time I talk about it, but I'm about to beat probably tonight Final Fantasy VIII finally, and I'm excited about that. I've been trying to beat this game for 20 years. And it's finally going to happen tonight, hopefully.
What do you do to celebrate?
I have no idea. I think it's going to be kind of weird. I'll be like, whoa, I've thought about this game a lot, and I'm finally done.
You should just get some cheap champagne on the way home and just pop it afterwards.
Not even drink it.
Just because. You could drink it. I mean, who cares? But, like, just because. Like, just stand on the balcony and shake it up and just shoot it and just be like,
I did it! They're like, what'd you get married? Did you have a kid? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go with that.
But anyway, something I found out, which actually I found pretty tragic about Final Fantasy VIII, is I looked up if there was some way to download the pre-rendered backgrounds, because some of them are remarkably gorgeous. It's not just Final Fantasy VIII, but those pre-rendered backgrounds, they don't do that anymore, but some of them were gorgeous, beautiful, like cool things. And I thought it'd be so cool if I could download some zip file with all of them in like high resolution. From what I understand, I didn't verify this, but a couple people said it, all those are gone. Because after Final Fantasy VIII, they're like, cool, we're done. We sold it. Throw it all out. So much so that they actually lost the gold version.
Yeah, I've
there's
heard.
no original code, which is why a lot of people say the PC port sucks because they had to rebuild a huge amount of it.
I've heard rumors of that.
Yeah, and again, it hasn't been verified, but a few people said it, and I will say there are you cannot find the high resolution images anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, because we've seen re-releases of almost every other Final Fantasy
Except that one.
Yeah,
and I think it's also probably the least popular.
Yeah,
but it sold well.
And
so.
Squall sucks. So
Squall
I could see
unequivocally sucks. I can say that after playing through the whole game, he still sucks.
I'll be honest. If I made Final Fantasy VIII, I would have burned it when I was done too.
No, it's great. It's a cool game. It's just a weird game, but it's beautiful, and it makes me sad that all it's gone.
In the ocean.
Anyway, that kind of got me thinking about remakes. Like, that sucks, man. Like, that's just gone.
Yeah,
it's like what happened to old silent films. They're
it's
just
funny.
Gone.
You say Final Fantasy VIII. I'd like to see Final Fantasy IX remade.
That would be interesting. I think Final Fantasy IX though has aged so much better. It doesn't really need it.
But almost that's why I want to see it. Like,
yeah.
Super, because it's a true 3D game.
Yeah, I mean, it still had pre-rendered backgrounds.
It's not pre-rendered backgrounds, but
and they are awesome.
And I think they could, because of that, they could still use some of them.
Yeah,
touch them up, make them look amazing in like 4K.
Yeah.
The 3D like character models could use work. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, so
they're better than 8.
Better than 8. Well, 8 is just like. It looks so weird. Like,
it looks weird. It's a weird combination of gorgeous and horrible. Like, unlike anything I've ever seen. Like, the FMVs are incredible still. They look awesome. The art direction is extraordinary. It's so cool and unique. I've never seen another game that has a similar aesthetic. But there's so much that looks ugly too. It's weird.
Maybe if they made like Final Fantasy 9 2. Like X2.
Yeah.
But like 9 2, and they made it now, and it was all.
It's really hard to imagine.
It just looked like just super sharp.
Yeah, and they were all in a band.
Yeah, it looked like Persona.
They're all in a band. They gotta be in a band.
But because I love the thing I love about Final Fantasy 14, right?
Yeah.
Like the imagery and like the Final Fantasy things about it are so nostalgic.
Yeah.
And so like dear to my heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like. When I hear that, like even like the intro music and it's playing the harp, and and it's just got the Final Fantasy logo
and shit,
and it's got the drawn Final Fantasy logo, and it's just and you're just loading, and you're just like God, like I wish it was just this. Like this feels great. You know what I mean?
And that's I think why people love 9 so much. Is it very
so
much feeds into that.
And maybe it's not 9. I just wish they would make a Final Fantasy game that was like just that like. Not trying to be real to life, not trying to be angsty. You know what I mean? That was cartoony and
a little more like fun and joyful.
A little more fun, a little more fantasy. Like, make all the races make sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just weird to have these like Mogs and Chocobos running around with like edgy leather wearing humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's
9 was really good about that.
Yeah.
There was a cohesion there.
Well, it feels natural when it's kind of tied to these kind of strange characters.
Yeah.
And it just feels so wrong when it's tied to these kind of realistic looking,
Yeah, well, even 7 and 8, and 7 obviously does not look realistic by any stretch of the imagination, but even 8 where the character models at least are like just human scale.
Yeah.
They're not weird, blocky. And even so, there's like weird aliens and stuff that never quite. It's just there, and you don't get that sense of cohesion like you do in 9.
Yeah, like the cactars and the marbles like make sense, right? And then you look.
Where in 8, and there's like that weird the Norg dude who's like this weird slime slug creature that's just there, and they're like, oh yeah, he's there too, by the way.
I think about 7 too. Like I remember, like you.
Yeah, Kate Sith. What the hell is Kate Sith?
Yeah, Kate Sith.
It's like a cat who has a robot egg.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Weird, man.
But that's why none of it should make sense. You know what I mean?
It's kind of all or nothing.
Yeah,
and I don't know how 15 handled that. I know there was chocobos, but
15 was the worst about it.
Really, it's just like very clear.
Yeah, and that's I think that's a big problem with 15 is like the summons look amazing.
Of course, the summons have looked amazing since 6.
Yeah, and what's amazing about the summons in 15 is like they exist in the world, kind of. Like not like that they are persistent, but like when you cast them, it's not like they just because you're not fighting in like an instance combat instance.
Right.
Like they're just like on this globe of Final Fantasy
Oh,
world,
I see what
right?
you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
So like literally like you who's like you summon like Ifrit, right? Or you
Yeah.
don't really. That's spoil. I'm not gonna talk about where Ifrit is in the story, but if you did, um, he would literally just like appear in the world and come into your combat.
I hear what you're
right?
saying. That
and
is very cool.
and it's cool, and it's
No matter
like,
where you are.
and the scale is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just so massive and just like, and because it's not in this instance combat world, it doesn't really scale,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no,
You
that
know?
makes sense.
Because like in 7, right? Like,
Yeah, you're in a totally different thing.
and even when you're in it, the scales are not right.
Yeah.
Right. Like the ruby weapon and emerald weapon aren't
Yeah.
big enough. You know what I mean?
No,
Like they're
absolutely.
bigger than your airship in the world, and
Yeah.
they're
And then
like-
the overworld versus the normal world,
Yeah.
it's all totally insane.
yeah. None of the scaling makes sense.
Yeah.
Where in 15 they kind of have to. What's dumb is you can't just summon all the time. It's like triggers have to happen, but it's crazy. So I would just love to see a modern, like a modern fantasy version of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
that just harkens
with
back
all the
to,
new. Yeah. No, I totally agree.
to the OG music and black mages
Yeah.
and red mages and
Yeah.
white mages.
That would be
and
cool. Like a
fighters
modern
and-
one. Ooh, that would
Yeah,
that would be
thieves
fun
and,
as
like,
hell.
Yeah, thieves just throwing weapons, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it would. Yeah, I would be so hot for that.
What was your least favorite Final Fantasy of the main ones?
I feel like I've explained that enough, but because I keep saying 8, but the reality is I played through 8. I mean, 10 is where I lost the thread.
Okay, yeah, I think you have mentioned that.
Right, like 10 is where I was just like I got to like the end of 10. I assume the end. I was very long into 10.
Yeah.
And was just at one point just like, I'm not.
You're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like not into
Okay.
this at all. And then 11 was MMO, so I was just
Right.
like, nah. And then like 12 was weird.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't ever get into that.
I was curious if you played 13.
No.
That's fair.
It is. I mean, what's funny is I haven't played 13, but like I know who Lightning is, right? And I think she's a cool.
Yeah,
And
she's
by
alright.
design, I
She's
think,
just like a female squall.
yeah. By design, I think she's a cool looking character.
Yeah, she looks cool.
right, like design wise. But having not played the game, I can't really say if she's cool or not.
Nah, not really.
Yeah, but
I was just curious. Anyway, getting back to remakes, like Final Fantasy VII remake, that's an example of something I'm like, I don't think that game should be remade.
No,
that doesn't need to be remade.
and I think that the problem is they're not remaking it to capture what
Right.
originally made you love Final Fantasy
Exactly.
VII.
They're trying to like take it. It's like how Advent Children. Remember that movie?
Yeah,
It's like, well, this looks great, but what the hell? This
Like-
has nothing to do with why I like Final Fantasy VII at
Yeah,
all,
at all.
on any level.
Yeah, it's why I hate Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah, fuck.
because I feel like it has nothing to do with anything. It's just like
It's just its own thing,
And-
which I guess is fine, but the own thing it is not cool or
No, and-
interesting or fun.
I think it preys on people's nostalgia for a million properties
Yeah, in a really kind of uninspired and
in a super uninspired way
Yeah.
that just makes them feel like, well,
look,
I'm-
Hercules meets Sephiroth.
Yeah.
Like, why?
I've been playing all of them, so
I guess I better stick with it.
yeah. But no, I love the story. It's like, no, you don't.
Nobody loves that.
Nobody
story.
loves that.
Explain the
story.
story. You
Yeah,
can't.
you don't know the
The
story.
guy who wrote the story doesn't fucking like the story.
yeah, I
They
hate.
just keep paying him.
I hate when people act like Kingdom Hearts is legit. It's like, shut up. Like, you're not cool. But what about like NES, SNES era? If you had to pick one of those games to bring forward,
It's so hard because I hate to sound like some fucking pretentious old timer or whatever, but I do. There are certain games that I feel like are better off as they are.
yeah,
For example, Chrono Trigger I think is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't want to see that remade in full 3D. I just don't think it would work. But maybe again, you wouldn't. I have no idea at this point.
you know what I wish they would really do, and I wish they would take games like that and have like artists really like just like rework the sprites and stuff. Like still make it sprite based, still make it 2D,
Sure. Yeah, that could work.
still work on the backgrounds. Like, because I was gonna say Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I already think is one of the most beautiful
It
games
is a very beautiful
that
game.
exists,
Yeah.
right? But I would just love to see, and I guess this would be more of like a, it's not a very profitable project, right? But I would just love to see what the way art is now, and the way people draw now. I mean, we've seen it. Like, you can say all you want that art is art, and it's always been good, but obviously, like you see it in anime, you see it in comics, like the way people can draw these things now, a lot of technique has been pulled forward.
Yeah.
And people make amazing art now. And so I would just love to see kind of modern interpretations of the hand-drawn backgrounds and the sprites redone and just like what that would look like, and maybe some tweaks to the music and maybe some additions of kind of modern creature comforts, but not just like a 4K upres, but like really like how good can we make this thing look?
Yeah.
And that, I mean, to me, that's like the turn on right there,
yeah,
right?
That's like doing a cover of a song almost.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And again, it's that same thing of like, even if they try and we don't like it, who cares? Just play the original. It doesn't detract from the original.
It doesn't at all.
A bad remake actually is totally fine. Just don't play it and play the original again. You're fine.
I'm interested to play Bloodstain when it comes out.
Yeah.
But like you made a face. I
made a face because at E3 it was just like weak as hell.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? These things have turned around before.
Yeah, and the Castlevania 3 one they did. Was it Castlevania 3? The Bloodstain, the Curse of the Moon or whatever?
Oh, I don't remember if it was 3.
Yeah, they made one where you had swapping characters.
Yeah.
It's like Castlevania 3 or whatever. But that one, people like that a lot.
Yeah.
So, maybe they still got it, but
sure.
And they're trying to figure it out for the other Bloodstain. I don't know what the main one's called.
And even if they get it wrong, that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But that's what I mean. That's my favorite game ever. And I don't feel anything.
Symphony of the Night or
Symphony of the
Castlevania
Night,
3. Yeah. So I thought.
I don't think any Metroidvanias, as they call them now, have hit what that game captured, right? Just
what about Super Metroid?
That was before it. And no.
I know, but it's in the name.
Super Metroid's a little straightforward in comparison, I feel like.
Yeah, I guess because it was
I don't think it's a bad game by any means.
It's totally very cool. Yeah.
But I think it's very streamlined, especially compared to the original Metroid.
Yeah.
In a way that is, I'm not going to call it like linear or anything, but there's definitely a path you're guided through.
There's not a lot of variation. Like if you were to play it over and over, it's not like you could go in from a different direction, really.
Yeah.
There's a pretty set route.
There's a pretty set route. Like, once you've done it, you're like,
exactly. I think the first time you do it, you don't have a sense of that. But then if you were to do it again, you'd be like, oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah, like if you look at how the sausage is made in that game, it's like, oh, okay, this is pretty straightforward, actually, when you look at it.
Yeah.
It's like Castlevania is just so much bigger, and, there's flipping the castle.
Yeah, Symphony of the Night is awesome.
Symphony of the Night's amazing. And just like the music, it just gets me so fired up.
She is so cool.
Yeah, it's so cool.
I love that. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like if someone were to say we're remaking Symphony of the Night, I would be very trepidatious. But if they were to say, like you just espoused, hey, it's still 2D. We're just doing a whole new like crazy version of it.
Yeah, if the tweet that they released, it was like, we love this game.
Yeah.
And we just want to try and show it some love the best we know how.
Yeah.
I think people would just be like so in to like, let's just see. You know what I mean?
Well, what was a good example? It's kind of a remake. They added a bunch of new stuff, which I think this is kind of an in-between is Sonic Mania. I know you're not a Sonic guy, but the way they did that was there's one dude who loves Sonic, took a lot of the levels, but then he added a bunch of new stuff. He made it new, so it's like both a remake and a new one at the same time. That's kind of an interesting take on it.
And it looks good.
It looks fantastic, and it's very true to the original, almost to a fault.
And I'll say that's I would say that game's biggest issue
is that
it's still trying to be it
didn't fix the problems that you have with Sonic.
It didn't fix the problem Sonic has.
Well, no, a lot of people don't think it has problems.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, I'm one of those people. Sonic 2 is great.
You don't think there's problems with Sonic?
I don't think it. I think it's fine the way it is.
I'm just saying you don't think there's problems with Sonic.
There's some problems, like he's kind of dumb looking.
That's your problem with Sonic? Okay. Okay.
Well, maybe other people can weigh in on this.
I think the movement as a whole is a problem with Sonic.
I think we had this conversation a while ago, and I think you made some points which with like the whole starting and stopping mechanic, how sometimes just come to a dead stop, and you could look at it as bad level design.
Yeah,
I mean that's debatable, but it is a valid point. It is annoying when you're running and then all of a sudden you're stopped because you couldn't see what was in front of you.
You can never see what's coming.
That's not really.
It's impossible.
Yeah. Well, it's like memorization. You learn it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the only
it's like Contra.
Yeah, but even Contra, at least you can see as you move. I mean, sometimes you get cheap shotted by a random bullet.
Often.
But, I don't think Contra's amazing either as a game. I mean, for its time, I think it was very fun
Yeah.
to play, but it was also like an arcade machine that was designed to suck quarters.
Yeah.
Right. I think the thing about Sonic is it's a home console game, and like you said, when you hit these abrupt stops, not only is it always happens because you cannot see anything that's in front of you because you're moving too fast for what's in front of you, and the whole idea is to move fast.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sonic is too fast for you.
Yeah, well, obviously, but the process of getting back to speed
Yeah.
and the movement at low speed
Yeah.
feels atrocious.
It definitely feels like you are heavily penalized if you make even a tiny mistake.
If you
And
slow
it's-
down at all.
It's not penalized like you die, you have to start over. It's penalized like, you have to get going again, which is not super fun.
It just feels bad, and it's fine. Like if it had more like racetrack style levels. The problem is a lot of the levels have things you need to stop to find.
Yeah.
Right. So you're constantly in this thing of like, oh, it's my first time through this level. I kind of want to explore it, but at the same time, exploration feels really bad. And a lot of these things that I need to reach, I somehow need to be able to like run and boost to.
Yeah.
But I also cannot do that while looking at where they may or may not be.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
interesting.
which I do feel like is bad design
Yeah.
for sure.
No, that's
Where I feel like the difference is Mario, you can be paced throughout the level and look around and not,
movement never feels like you're being punished.
it doesn't feel like, oh, like, well, you decided to stop and look around, so it's just not going to feel good for a while.
Yeah.
Run and hope you don't die, and that way it'll feel better. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's, in my opinion, crummy. It felt crummy when I was a kid.
Yeah.
When we played Sonic Mania, I'm like, it still feels crummy.
No, I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, but I think the music's pretty good.
The music is amazing.
And I think the art's actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it got a good bump from being kind of after Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they got to kind of explore what Nintendo did with Mario and like how they kind of made that game look so good and move so well. And
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I think it's definitely beautiful and it's a really cool product of its time. How about that movie though? That's gonna be good.
That's gonna be so good.
Can't wait for that. You know what we should do is we should go see it and give the people what they want, which is a review.
I'm down. I think we should see Pokemon movie too.
That's a good idea.
That's a game.
That's what's called, right? Pokemon movie?
Detective Pikachu.
I know.
There's a game.
Yeah, I know. I remember.
I didn't play it.
I didn't either.
What else? What are any other games you want to bring forward from the archives?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a big thought. I guess my first thing would just be like, all my favorite games. But a lot of them wouldn't work.
No.
A lot of them wouldn't work. But, well, they're remaking System Shock, which should be interesting.
I think there's just some classics that I think would be cool. Like I think Rygar could be cool.
Yeah, it could be cool.
Right.
They did a Rygar on the PS2 that was surprisingly decent.
Really?
Yeah, it was actually like remarkably. It was like kind of God of War-ish.
Yeah, I never played it, but Rygar definitely
Yeah.
has like that early God of War feeling.
Yeah.
Even though it's 2D side scroller.
Yeah, Rygar's cool.
Yeah, and it's got a good progression system where you're like leveling and getting
Yeah.
like super ripped.
I was about to say Ninja Gaiden, but that's a good example of a modern one. Actually, the Ninja Gaiden on Xbox, that's a cool example of, hey, let's take Ninja Gaiden and bring it to
Yeah,
the modern
I hear it's
world.
really good and
It's
impossible.
not modern anymore,
I hear it's
obviously.
impossibly hard.
It's not impossible. People beat it, but
Yeah.
that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden itself is very
Yeah.
hard.
That was a great example. Actually, that's a good example of it's not a remake. It was a new entry, but it was very much kind of like a remake.
Another NES game I really liked that I could see coming forward. Did you ever play Trojan?
No.
It's like it's kind of like I mean, I think there were so many side scrollers back then.
Yeah, they were
But
pretty much exclusively.
It was kind of one of those progression side scrollers where you kind of collect these armor pieces as you moved through and kind of get stronger and look cooler as you went. Sort of like I'm trying to think of a game that's like it, and I don't want to say Altered Beast. But it's kind of that sense of like, like Ghouls and Ghosts sort of, but
Ghosts
not
and Goblins,
but not as punishing as
Yeah.
that. And it was a fun game, and it was like sword combat. So you'd like be fighting these bosses, and you get like, you'd find boots at some point, and then you could jump higher. It sort of was like a very rudimentary kind of Metroid style game.
Yeah.
I thought it was super fun, and I always like randomly see it somewhere, and I'm like, oh, that was that game. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's that one game.
Yeah, I could see that the style of it was cool. It was kind of post-apocalyptic,
Yeah.
kind of, but like swords and knights and stuff kind
Yeah.
of thing, and I thought it had a really cool feel to it
That is cool.
that I could see coming forward. But that's kind of all I got.
Are there any game, like for me it's Final Fantasy 8, are there any games that you've always wanted to beat and you've tried but you never have actually done it, whether it's because you realize you don't like it or because it's too hard or whatever the reason?
There's 2 franchises that I've always felt like I should play,
Okay.
and I never have.
Yeah.
One is BioShock.
Yeah.
I don't like horror games.
It's the best game ever made.
And I know BioShock's not purely horror.
The first one's pretty horrifying.
But yeah, I've heard the first one's pretty horrifying. It kind of makes me nervous about playing it because
If you play it on easy, it's not that scary.
yeah, and
It's worth it.
yeah, and
Horror is not its only intention. That's like a byproduct.
yeah, and even that, like I'm not like afraid. You know what I mean? It's not like
you just don't necessarily enjoy it, those types of games.
yeah, but I mean that's not what's keeping me from it. Honestly, it's just like it's older now, and so it's hard to justify the time to go back and play through them all. But
So
and then the Mass Effect trilogy.
yeah,
I never
also
played
fantastic.
through, which I've watched be played, but I've never played myself. And it looks like a fun game to play.
Mass Effect is awesome, especially the second one.
Yeah. So I do feel like the second one looks amazing. When I watched someone play the second one, I was like, wow, this is like
That's some next level shit.
this is the heat right here.
I think
right?
that
Like,
might be some of the best writing too ever.
Yeah, I think the right.
And ironically, BioShock is I'd say probably the best written game ever. The first one, just in terms of how like tight it is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Those are 2 examples of like some of the finest narrative structures in all of video games.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be real talk. Like for a long time, I was really only interested in multiplayer online.
Yeah,
games.
no, totally. That's
you
fair.
know, I got my start with. Obviously, there weren't. Well, actually, I played multiplayer games for a really long time because I played a lot of StarCraft. But obviously, we all played narrative games when we were NES, Nintendo, Super Nintendo kind of people before online existed. But yeah, once I saw the magic of the internet, I just wanted to play internet games. I felt like you're kind of missing out by playing single player games.
Yeah, I was kind of felt the opposite.
Youth. Yeah,
I was like, man, I have to hang out with people during the day. I don't want to like hang out with them at night too.
Mhm.
Fuck that. I want to lose myself in a crazy fantasy world.
I just wanted to crush them.
Yeah,
I just wanted to be the best that ever was.
that's fair. And look at you now. You did it.
Yeah, I totally did.
You did it.
Now
You got to the top, party man.
Now I'm esports. Way to go, party man. But yeah, I mean, because I played a lot of like tournaments and stuff. back
Yeah,
in the
no,
day.
for
Like, I
sure,
was
which
really
is
into
totally
it.
awesome.
But yeah, I think in that era, I kind of missed out on a lot of
Yeah,
games that I think, like I had an Xbox, my Xbox One. I think the only game I owned for it was Halo.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, if that's not a ringing endorsement of the Xbox,
Right? Like, but just because it was like, I have no interest in playing anything other than this online multiplayer game. I would only buy consoles to play like Halo or Call of Duty on.
Yeah.
That was that guy.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's something to be said. There are like kind of 2 types of people, not exclusively, of course, but there are
Mhm.
some people who are just like, no, I want to play online, which is totally valid, and that's a totally awesome way to experience games. And then there's other people like me who are like, no, man, I don't want to have to talk to people. I
Like-
want to like lose myself in cool fantasy worlds and like enjoy and be able to cheat, crush my digital foes.
Yeah, like even now, like playing Sekiro, I'm like, man, there's no online in this game.
You're like, come on, man.
Yeah,
I
I'm
need
just
some
like,
help.
not even like help, but just like, I should be getting like a rank or something at least, right? Like,
The rank is, did you beat it?
yeah, like
It's a pass fail.
yeah, this game should be telling me I'm better than other people at some point, right? Like, when's it gonna tell me? And actually, I'm not. I'm really bad at that game.
Yeah. Well, we should jump into that. But what I will say for BioShock, the cool thing about it is it's relatively short. So if you just had a day off and you just put it on easy and you just played through it, it's so awesome. It really is. I know you've heard that a million times, but I mean, for people who don't know, I have a BioShock tattoo on my hand. It's my only tattoo.
I can see it right now.
It's that's how much I love it and how important I think it is to me personally, and then also just as a work of art. It's so cool. It's scary. It's beautiful. The art design is just some of the best. The writing is on a whole nother level. It's not a perfect game in terms of gameplay. It definitely has weaknesses, and I hope you play it so we can discuss those. And it does drag at the end, but narratively, it's flawless, I think.
Yeah, it's so funny that you say it drags at the end. It's like, for a long time, I feel like games were always so afraid to end.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have gotten to the point now where it's okay to be short.
Yeah.
Which I think is so nice.
Like, even like the Halo games,
Totally.
like whenever you get to the flood portion, it's just
like, the library, you have to go up, and then you got to go down.
It's like, can't this game just fucking end already? Like, We did it. All right, we know what's
Totally.
happened here.
And it's the problem is it's so obvious.
Yeah.
It's so clear. I don't know if you got to. This is a whole different subject, but I don't know if you got to hear that the the BioWare article, the big one everyone's talking about. But when they were talking about Anthem and how they're like, dude, it's too short. We gotta pad the length. And I was so disappointed. I'm like, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't have to pad the length. Please don't. It's so obvious when you're padding the length, and it's so annoying, and it doesn't make anyone happy. I'd much rather pay $60 for a short, tight game than pay $6 for a long game where 40% of it feels like it's dragging ass.
Everything about that game just it's gross.
Did you read that article? It's pretty intense.
No, I haven't read it yet. I mean, it's the Kotaku one, right? The Jason Schreier article.
Yeah.
No, he does good work. Like his writing's usually pretty solid.
It's awesome. Anyway, it's a very depressing article, and it's definitely worth the read. It's long, but it's really sad, and it definitely, basically everything you've been saying about Anthem is true.
Yeah.
And it's like you can clearly see why it happened, and it's really sad.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out. I'll have to give it a read because I have seen it kind of popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't really need to get, I don't really want to get into this thing because it's so like political.
It's very long,
you know what I
and
mean?
It's very
and like,
sad.
yeah, it's so kind of political in its nature. Well, I wouldn't even say the article itself is political.
Yeah, the article's pretty straightforward.
The reception's always so political, right? Like this is like because every response to that article is, this is why we need unions now, or this is why,
or it's like super pro-capitalist. Like, why don't they get new jobs then?
Yeah,
they deserve to be treated like shit for not going to work somewhere else.
It's like, why don't everybody just shut up?
Yeah.
You know, like please.
No,
like,
totally.
Like this is not what this is about.
Yeah.
Like,
it's fascinating though. Definitely check it out.
yeah, because I'll say this. Obviously the issue with that game is choices that were made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And when you see why those choices were made, it's pretty cool.
yeah, and it's like,
I mean, it's not cool. It's horribly sad, but it's interesting.
It's interesting. Understanding why those choices were made and what drove those decisions to be made, I think, is a far more interesting thing than like, yeah, this is why we need to, fuck these pussies, or this is why devs should be able to do whatever they want and get beat rich, and it's like,
absolutely no,
like,
it definitely shines an interesting light behind that.
But it's like, no, this is why we need to spend our money where people make better choices and try. You know what I mean? And we make those choices for better reasons. I think is kind of what you should take away. But I haven't read the article, so I'm talking out my ass.
I'd love to hear your thoughts on it next week, maybe. So speaking of Sekiro, have you tried out the easy mode mod yet?
Oh Jesus!
Not because you're bad, but just because it sounds like an awesome mod. It can do a lot of different things. To be clear, it does all kinds of cool stuff.
I think it's so funny that this easy mode in Sekiro has become such a. I mean, I guess it's like everything in games. It's also very political.
Yeah,
but it's become this like touchstone for kind of like where you stand. Yep. And it's funny. What really kind of gives me a giggle about it is I follow all kinds of people on Twitter, and there's a lot of people like. I think there's a lot of people mad at people that they think are supposed to be inclusive, but are still arguing that there shouldn't be an easy mode in Sekiro.
Yeah,
and they're just like they've what's the word? Betrayed their trust. You know what I mean? Like this game should be for everybody. But I think the thing is with Sekiro, like if that game had an easy mode, it would ruin it.
Yeah,
not because people shouldn't be able to see the story or whatever, but because the story's not good.
Yeah.
Like
it's just not what it's about at all.
Yeah, those games aren't about the writing. They're not about
Yeah.
seeing the environments or any of that.
It's about the combat.
It's
only the combat.
It's only about the combat. It's about overcoming these obstacles.
So you think the argument would be then if they had an easy mode, it would just be broken and it wouldn't be a fun game to play.
It would just be not fun.
It would just not even really be a game at all.
Yeah, it would give people that played it on easy the impression that it was a very bad game.
Stupid, lazy game.
It was a very bad, very lazy
That's
game.
an interesting take. I haven't heard that.
Because
but that makes sense.
It wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
It would.
If the combat's the only thing it's got going, then it is a little weird to and it's so finely tuned from what I understand. Again, I still haven't played it. That if it were to be made easier, it would essentially be broken and the game would have nothing left.
Yeah, like From games have never been about like it's weird. I've heard some people say like, "Oh, I like the game, but I don't feel like like you get good enough rewards when you beat the bosses," and it's just like, then you're not really that into From games because the reward has always been
beating the boss.
Right. Like achieving something that you've failed at 100 times.
Yeah,
is rewarding. And if you don't find that rewarding,
you're playing the wrong game.
You're playing the wrong game, and there might be something wrong with your psyche, right? Because I feel like that's such a human thing to be like, I attempted, I struggled, I learned,
I failed and I learned.
I failed and I learned, and I defeated it, and that's gratifying.
Yeah.
Right? Like I feel that's such like a basic like human condition.
Yeah.
That if someone's just like, yeah, I tried a bunch of times and I finally beat the boss, and it's like he only gave me some beads. And you're just like what? Like that's what you took away from it?
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like when I,
It's a sense
when I
of
get
elation.
when I get that second pip and I go into that death blow animation, I lose my mind. Like I lose my mind because you've been trying so many times.
No, for sure. Even Bloodborne, which I haven't beaten, but I got, I think, like 75% of the way through. And yeah, same thing. I'd beat a boss and I would literally stand up and scream.
Yeah, you see him going to that death animation.
Yeah. You're like,
and it just starts fading away.
I did it.
Yeah, and it says the name's defeated. You're just like, oh my, yeah,
Absolutely.
The souls start flowing into you, and it's just like, oh, I'm elation. And to say that's Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, you don't get shit for beating those bosses.
No, you literally don't get anything.
There are no rewards,
Nothing
that are worth that. I mean, you can make far more souls,
Yeah, just grinding.
just grinding,
Totally.
than anything those bosses give you, because that's not what that game's about.
No,
And that's why if there's an easy and you beat those bosses, you're just like,
it would just be lame.
it would be so lame.
It would be broken.
It would be
a broken
It'd be
game.
a bad broken game.
Yeah, and I think that's totally true. Like, I think I've talked about this before, but for example, a great example of where easy mode for me worked out great was Horizon Zero Dawn, which is beautiful, and it's so fun, and the story's okay, but whatever. Even if the story's not great, it's so beautiful, and it's so fun to explore that world. But I hated the combat deeply.
Yeah.
So I just put on the easiest mode. Combat was basically non-existent, and it totally broke the combat, but I didn't like the combat, so who cares, because I wanted to explore the world and collect and craft. But that wouldn't work for something like a From Software game, because all that those games are is one system, which is a combat.
Yeah, and I even liked the combat. Like I was actually into it. Like I thought,
totally. Most people were. I was definitely the odd man out on that.
I thought like knocking off the units on the thing and like using them, and so I thought it was cool.
It was cool. I never understood it and it never clicked.
But yeah, if you told me like that game's not all about the combat,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so obviously they're trying to tell a compelling story. They're trying to build a compelling heroine.
Yeah.
Which I think they did a great job.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was
Alloy's
awesome.
I think Alloy's amazing.
Yeah, and it looks insane.
I think Alloy is really like
She's a badass in like a
so
natural
badass
way.
In such I think she's such like the proof that we're not as bad as we think we are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
because
well
she's
said.
so lovable and so charming, and she's not like
And she's
mega,
very human.
Yeah, she's very human. She's not mega hot. She's just like a normal, a normal, dedicated, hardworking, like
charming
charming person.
Yeah, totally. I
that
agree.
like accomplishes
She's
so
an
much.
awesome protagonist.
Yeah, an awesome protagonist that accomplishes so much and is so brave. And like if you can't see that and be happy about that and feel good about that, like I don't know who you are. Like this,
You ain't someone I want to know.
Yeah, you ain't someone. I love that game.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it too. I just loved it a lot more when I didn't have to deal with the combat.
Yeah, and I don't think the combat's like that important.
Yeah, and the other side of that though is if someone wanted and loved the combat and they hated the crafting and they didn't care about the world, they just jack up the difficulty the highest and they'd have a great time too. It'd be a totally different game than my experience, and that's awesome.
And I saw people like, especially when that game came out, like on Reddit and stuff, like posting these like crazy combat videos where they're using all the traps and the different arrows,
it looks
and
so cool,
and doing all this stuff, and it's like like there's so much to have in this game. You know what I mean? If that's what you want to be, if you want to be like the Dino robot slayer, like there's
Halo the robot slayer.
Yeah, Halo the robot slayer.
Where the hell did that game come from? That was such a trip. It was like, oh, here's a totally brand new IP. And
from
everyone,
Guerrilla, who does not make that, you know. Yeah.
And then I remember when everyone saw the trailer, they're like, yeah, right, it's not gonna look like that.
Yeah,
of course not. Bullshit. Especially after Killzone 2, you remember that.
But I think the Killzone games are great.
Killzone's great too, for
so
sure.
Great.
I totally agree. But it was definitely not at all what anyone was expecting. And then the game launched, and I was like, what? This is like the best looking game ever made at the time. It's on a console.
It still looks so amazing.
Cool. Yeah, it looks insane.
What's incredible to me is I just recently got a 4K HDR TV.
Yeah.
And I have an original PS4, but it does HDR. So I was like, I want to see if the HDR works. I put Horizon in.
And you're like, what?
1080, and it just looks amazing. Yeah. The game looks
this is coming from
incredible
hardcore PC gamers.
Yeah, hardcore PC game.
Who do not cut any slack.
I have a 1080. I have 144 hertz 2K monitor.
Same here.
I love games.
Very high standards.
Look good and have high frame rates. Even playing Sekiro on my PC locked at 60 frames frustrates me very much with the look. And Horizon looks amazing.
Yeah, and so does God of War. I mean, I never knows this, but we were looking at that for a test, and I was like, how the hell is this coded to run on this hardware?
I know.
Like, it doesn't even make sense.
I still have a Horizon screenshot as my PS4 background because it's just
insane.
Like the first, God, what do they call those things? The triangle buildings where you go underground.
Yeah, the like whatever they are.
Yeah,
I forgot too.
I just remember the first one you find. It's like built into the side of a hill, and you're standing in tall grass. And I just looked at it, and I'm just like,
what?
This is amazing. And like I just had to take screenshots of it because I'm just like, the tall grass looks amazing. Like the rocks around it, the lighting is incredible. That game is incredible. That is why Sony is so much better than Xbox or than Microsoft, right? Because I cannot think of a Microsoft title that is even close to what they did with that game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's even the same type of narrative.
Yeah.
The same, like.
And it was so ambitious, too.
And
that's what I mean when I say it came out of nowhere. It was like, it doesn't just look insane. It's a brand new IP, totally original, very unique. Like, what the hell did they? And remember when you first got on the first long neck?
Yeah.
And you scan and then you jumped off, and she's just like, boom, and like flipping and like going. And I was just like, what is this?
When you do that move,
what
you
is
jump
this?
off and zip line
That's
behind
what I'm
you.
saying. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
So great.
And the animation was insane.
Even when you climb up the first long neck.
You're moving. Or even when it walks over you and just a sense of scale.
Yeah. It makes no sense because you're trying to climb up and you're like, okay, well, like, where's the
works.
ladder, right? And you're just like, no, you just jump. And you should just like, blah, 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 like, it's incredible.
I love that game.
It's an incredible game. Like, yeah, I feel like I could do a Horizon podcast. Like,
Maybe we should.
Talk about that game all day.
That'll be our first spin-off.
Because I was just so impressed.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was like the salvo that really told the world.
Yeah,
like,
that was crazy.
The PS4 is not to be toyed with.
And then it just kept coming. They just kept on coming. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Between that and God of War, I think those are the real.
Yeah,
like,
and I would say Persona 5, but that's not well. A, it's not an exclusive anymore. But B, I know that it's not in everyone's wheelhouse.
And it's not. I feel like that game competes in a market that Microsoft doesn't compete in.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like that game looks incredible, but it's also like purely for Japanese people.
Yeah,
and they don't want Microsoft Xboxes anyway.
And it was also on PS3.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy.
It is crazy.
Now I guess it's going to be on Switch.
Because I will say, like, I was watching Bloodborne gameplay this week. Because they're comparing it to Sekiro.
Yeah.
And that game looks old now.
It does. It's still the art design is insanely beautiful, but it does look old.
I was very shocked to see, like, because even playing Sekiro, I was like, oh, this game's got a lot of style.
Yeah, but it's not pretty.
But it's not the prettiest, right? Yeah. I was like, I really like...
Compared to, like, Devil May Cry, say.
Yeah. I was like, I really like the style of this game.
Yeah.
Like, and I really like the aesthetic and all the Buddhas and all this stuff. I was like, this is really cool, but this game doesn't, like, look amazing.
Yeah, the art direction's nice. The technology maybe hasn't.
But then I looked at Bloodborne and I'm like, Sekiro's pretty good.
Like, actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, like, oh, that's pretty good.
Is it the same engine?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they got it. Yeah, I guess we talked about that. They got to fix that up.
Yeah, Devil May Cry looks amazing.
Well, that's the RE engine, right?
Yeah, RE engine.
That engine is sick.
That game, that game shocked me.
I can't wait to play it. Yeah, it's the same with Resident Evil 2. I was just like, what is happening in this game? How does it look this good?
Yeah, I could not believe how that game looked.
Yeah, I love that engine.
Man, Resident Evil 2 on PC, that game is a smoke show. That game looks so good. Like,
yeah,
I guess Devil May Cry too, but both those games, just like. We played Resident Evil here, and I was like, oh, it's good looking. The light's cool, you know what I mean? And then I got it home at 144 hertz, buttery smooth.
Oh yeah,
at that 1080 just cranking.
Yeah,
2K, everything on ultra, and I was just like, jeez, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe it looks this good.
I just got Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Steam sale, super cheap, great game. I reviewed it, but I reviewed it on PS4. Which it looked amazing. I think that game is absolutely gorgeous, but I can't wait to see it on PC, and I'm really excited to start over. And yeah, man, the games are just so pretty now.
So pretty now.
It's really extraordinary.
Yeah,
it makes me so happy.
It's unbelievable.
It really is. It's funny. Like now, every game looks insane, which is such a cool position to be in. Not every game, but the vast majority of games. Like when was the last time you looked at a game and you're like, it's fucking ugly?
It makes me really wonder what next gen's going to be.
They didn't really know. I don't understand.
Well, I mean, I think
How could a game look better in Resident Evil 2? We always say this, and then 10 years later, this game's going to look so bad.
I really think that we're getting to the point where making the games run better is really going to be that next gen step. I honestly think a lot of the games that come out for PS5 will play on PS4s.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
It just will be optimized differently.
Yeah, I think there'll be some maybe that won't, but I think in general we're going to start seeing console generations be more of what slider this game can play at.
Yeah.
More so than what console this game can play at. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you got a PS4 original.
So you mean like a PC?
Like a PC. This only run at 1080. Yeah, I mean, I really think that, and this is where I think Microsoft's kind of also slipping up, right? Game consoles are PCs for people that can't afford gaming PCs, and that's fine. I have consoles too.
So do I. I love them.
I can't afford my gaming PC, but I have one.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like, we made big sacrifices.
Yeah,
it's not like
It's not like it just came to me or I had tons of money and just it was like
I was prioritizing the wrong thing.
Give me the best. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a priority, and it's got to be one because you're going to spend $1,000
because we love games. We want to experience them in the best conceivable way.
Love games. I mean, my monitor was $500 when I bought it, for Christ's sake. God, where was I going? Oh, yeah. So I think that the reality is that they want everyone to be able to play these games. There's a jillion PS4s out there. I think they're really going to want to keep. They're going to want to keep people in that ecosystem without having to go crazy. And I just don't see them making a push for PS5. It's at least going to be backwards compatible. It's at least going to be like a natively 4K.
But what's different now than last generation? Why would it be different now in terms of sale?
PS4,
why wouldn't
PS3?
why wouldn't they want to sell PS5s?
I think they do, but I think that they're going to need. People will buy them.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? I think that's the reality is people will buy it because games right now have a hard time on PS4.
Yeah.
Sekiro does not run good on PS4. Right? It's an old engine.
But I mean, God of War doesn't, the frame rate's not too right, but it still runs fine. And it looks bananas.
Yeah, but think if you had a 4K version that could just 60K wasn't even an issue for it. Right?
That would be so. That's the one thing that sucks about these beautiful PlayStation games is imagine on PC, man.
Yeah, imagine.
Even Bloodborne in 4K at 60.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Imagine it on PC. That's what I always say.
That's our tagline.
But that's what I mean. Imagine if PS5 if PS5 offers that kind of PC experience for $400.
Yeah.
Right? And not the PC of tomorrow, but the PC of today.
Yeah, that's what they always do.
That's what they always do.
This is slightly better than what you're expecting on the best PC, and then PCs catch up within 3 months.
Think about PS2 era, right? And where PCs were at. PCs at that point were PS3 era, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like the PC's always been what's the next generation hold or what's what the PC's doing right now. And all the PC's really doing right now is higher frame rate, better resolution.
Yeah.
Right? It's not doing things that consoles can't. It's doing things that consoles
just better.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It's not it's not another generation ahead. It's just a much smoother experience, essentially.
Yeah, and I think Sony knows that people will upgrade.
Yeah.
All of them will. But I also think that in this coming console war, software is going to be king.
Yeah,
I think that's why Microsoft's shying away. You can play it on anything, and with diskless systems and streaming only systems, because it's we just want to sell games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I guess it's true that the margins on consoles are pretty low because it's especially in the beginning because the hardware is really expensive at first. Mm-hmm. Now I guess the margins will be much lower on a PS4 because the tech's old.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, that shit's expensive, and they intend on selling a lot of software.
Yeah, super expensive.
That's how they make money.
Yeah, so software is going to be king, and they just want to get the software in as many hands as possible.
Yeah.
Especially with their, Sony's insistence on first party, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to make these first-party giant games that cost $100 and $150 million to make,
you need a lot of people to buy them.
A lot of adoption, right? You cannot, especially if you want to come out. I get if you're going to release games 3 or 4 years into your console cycle, and people are 30 million units already out there.
Yeah,
and so it's okay, we can sell this $150 million game, and as long as 20% we get 20% adoption rate. it's going to be a mega hit.
Yeah.
Right.
No, absolutely.
But if you're just releasing a console, and we're talking about releasing a console, like we need a Horizon 2 to come out,
Which I'm sure it will.
which I'm sure it will too. We got Kojima's game coming.
Yeah.
We got I can't even think of the rest of them, but another Spider-Man probably.
Yeah, the new Assassin's Creed is going to be Vikings, which is cool, and that's
Assassin's Creed Vikings,
which is almost basically been confirmed that that'll be on next gen.
Yeah,
and they'll probably do the thing they always do, where there's a few that bridge between the two, like
but
they
we're
did
talking
with Black
about
Flag.
some straight mega games coming when PS5 launches, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm excited, man.
They're gonna come out with some straight salvos this time, right? I think
it's gonna slap.
PS3 was a weak console,
It was
and so I
weak.
think PS4 launch kind of suffered because of it.
Yeah,
PS5 was so strong.
yeah, they couldn't be in a better place
They
brand
could-
wise,
yeah,
and software wise, they've got.
Their titles have so much recognition right
And
now.
they haven't put out anything in a while, so they've been saving up.
Yeah,
Like what's Santa Monica Studio been doing? You notice they weren't working on any DLC, not one piece of DLC for God of War. That's what straight. You think they've just been relaxing? I don't
That
think
slingshot
so.
is taut, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, they can't hold it anymore.
Yeah,
Like everyone is so ready to just dump games for PS5.
I'm so excited.
Huge titles, and it's just like, you don't think people are going to upgrade for that?
I'm gonna upgrade for that.
Yeah, and you don't have to. And that's the thing, you don't make them, right? Because you still want to sell the software.
Yeah,
But if you want the 4K 60 frame,
and who doesn't?
who doesn't, right? Especially with those games. If you're into those games, you're gonna do it. You're gonna spend $500 so you can play the newest version of God of War.
Oh God, yes. I mean, I usually try and wait at least 6 months.
I want them to make another Killzone.
They probably will.
I played a lot of Killzone.
Killzone 3 was cool.
Killzone 3 was dope with
Yeah.
the drones and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
that was
Killzone
such
3
a good
was
game.
Cool. It looked great too.
Yeah, it looked amazing.
I remember the stealth kills were really fun.
Stealth kills were gruesome in that game.
I remember Killzone 2. The Helghast were I was super into them for a while. Like they're just so scary and
So scary.
The villain was awesome and
I love Killzone 3.
Yeah, Killzone
man.
was cool.
Yeah, it was a cool game.
It's a great name too.
It is a great
Killzone.
It's so good.
It's like a perfect name.
It writes out really well too.
Yeah, and it's fun to
Like
say.
you see it in print. Yeah,
The whole thing is just cool. Like, yeah, they look cool. Killzone, Helghast.
yeah. I think it's so funny because I think we like spent this whole hour just like
Talking about video games.
shooting the shit about video games.
What's wrong with that?
I blame V's question
Yeah.
taking us back.
V, this is all your fault.
Taking us back to the old school.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's nice actually.
Yeah.
It's a nice touch. Leo, what do you got coming up this week?
Well, gonna be Final Fantasy 8. Actually, I did want to ask you something.
Oh no.
I'm going to start a new game because I like to have 3 games running at the same time.
Okay.
I'm about to beat Final Fantasy 8.
Mhm.
Still need to do Inquisition, which I'm working through. Still gonna be playing the Division, but that opens up.
One slot.
Yeah, so I was curious if you had any suggestions for me. I know it's sort of a big question, but
For what you should play next?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be new. Doesn't have to be old. Just sort of, what do you think would kind of fit in nicely with the Division, Dragon Age? So I got 2 Western, so I do kind of try and like to balance maybe something Japanese might be cool, or from Europe. I don't know. Any thoughts?
I'm trying to think of what I've played recently that was just like hot fire.
I'm kind of leaning towards Devil May Cry, maybe.
Honestly, I'd play Devil.
It's just like so Japanese. I just have to buy it.
It's so good. I'll try to get you a copy. How about that?
If you can, that'd be awesome. If not, I'll be happy to buy it.
I got Mad Connects at Capcom.
That would be really cool if you could.
Yeah, I got.
But that seems like it's a nice counterpoint to Dragon Age and the Division. Devil May Cry is just pure. There's like, to me, there's anime bullshit, which is Kingdom Hearts, and then there's anime bullshit that's awesome, which is like Devil May Cry, which is just like, it's crazy anime. It's over the top and melodramatic, but it's just dial up to 11. Whereas Kingdom Hearts is all stupid shit dial up to 11.
Yeah, I mean, Devil May Cry is stupid shit for sure.
That's totally fine, but
it's
that's what
like
I'm saying.
the right.
I'm totally okay
It's the
with
right kind of
Yeah.
stupid shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're out there, my Capcom Connect, I love you very much.
Yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
talks. He speaks very highly of it.
Very highly. And I'd love if we could talk about your game more.
Yeah.
So
I'd be more than happy to talk all about it.
yeah, so shoot me a copy, right? But another copy.
So any other thoughts maybe in terms of
I think Devil May Cry is great.
kind of a good?
I
nice
definitely
little
suggest
palate
it.
cleanser?
I mean, I would suggest Sekiro too, but that
Yeah.
might not be
I don't
kind
know.
of what you're looking for right now.
Yeah,
I don't.
probably not.
It seems like a rough fit with those two.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I think you want something you're going to be able to kind of get through without much.
Yeah. I think that is fair to say.
And I think Devil May Cry is like the perfect version of that.
That
Honestly,
sounds really good.
because it's not hard.
And I like that. I kind of want that. Like, I want to feel powerful.
Yeah.
And I want it to look great.
It's just like other Devil May Cry. There's going to be a few boss fights that tie you up, or a few
That's fine.
a few of those bonus missions.
I can always just bump it down easy if I get, if I don't care. Who am I trying to impress?
It's a human, I think, is the easy mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I already love it.
Yeah, it's like human and like demon hunter, I think, is the normal mode.
All right. I think I'm gonna take that in consideration. I'm leaning towards it though. What are you gonna be playing this week? You got any big plans?
It's funny. I'm kind of feeling burnt on Apex lately.
That's fair.
I've still been playing a bunch, but I'm just like, every time I boot it up, I'm just like, more Apex.
That's not a good side.
I've actually been playing Street Fighter V quite a bit.
Interesting.
I'm kind of bouncing back. We do these Friday night fights here.
Yeah.
Actually, it's Friday right now. If you're listening, you may be upset because our episode was late.
Yeah.
Because I was out yesterday. But they do Friday night fights every Friday now, which is Street Fighter V. So part of me is like, I need to get back into Street Fighter V. I used to be real into playing Cammy, but I've kind of lost my touch, and I'm getting beat by these scrubs.
Not okay.
It's very upsetting.
That is upsetting.
So Street Fighter V. I've been playing a little actually Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's kind of cool.
yeah,
I've never played GTA Online.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot. There's so much there. It's sloppy. Like it's taken me so long to get my head around what GTA Online actually even is.
Yeah.
Like I bought it on one of those Steam sales like a year ago or something, and went straight to the online and was just like, this makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like there's all these businesses
It's very chaotic.
Way too expensive to buy. Then some jerk in a flying car comes and shoots you and camps your body.
It's just like LA.
Yeah,
just like real LA.
Camps your body, and you're just like, what am I like? Is this the game? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, there's a learning curve.
Someone just needs to show you.
Yeah, you need like a dude who's like, here's the ropes.
Show you the path, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely a path to like. You just need to earn some money, just have some fun, buy some clothes you like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and kind of start to invest in things you think are neat. And buy some cars you think are cool or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I thought like, oh, there's like a progression in the story, but it's like, no, you just kind of spend your money where you want to. But there's like, they do these double money, double XP things. And so I've been grinding those out, which are like these kind of instance missions. So those you don't get grief in the world when you're doing, you just kind of pop in and do them. So I found those very fun for just like putting on my headphones, listening to a podcast, and just kind of just zoning out and letting them play. But so I'm playing a lot of that too.
That's cool.
So I don't know if I'm going to keep playing a lot of that, but I've been jumping into it. There's nothing really coming out. So
no, that's why I think it's a good time to really kind of try some old stuff or clear the backlog a little bit.
Yeah, it's a tough time for being a gamer. We got nothing coming, Yeah. Well, the first quarter just ended. Yeah. So we're kind of.
Well, we're all waiting for E3.
Kind of in the humdrums of Q2.
I'm excited for E3 though, even though everyone's leaving and.
Maybe we'll play Breath of the Wild VR,
Yeah, I don't know. That's a trip. I don't quite understand how that's going to work.
Yeah, it'll make me vomit. I'm not going to try. I mean, I might.
You got to try it.
Well, yeah, we'll see. But
I'm sure we'll get one around here, so we can all try it.
It looks. I bet it's terrible.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine like 720p screen. Like that game, I think is gorgeous, and I love it. And it's one of the coolest games I've ever played, and the Switch is great. And
it runs bad on the Switch.
It does run bad on the Switch.
I mean, like I said, I love the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're not talking shit about the Switch or the game.
I'll be honest. When I watched the Nintendo video today, and that intro piano song came on for Zelda,
it gets a little misty.
It got me in my, just like when I heard the Final Fantasy song, it got me right in my heart. Yeah. All right?
Yeah.
That's real talk.
Real talk, man.
But
I'm with you on that.
I couldn't imagine playing that game getting like 20 frames. You know what I mean?
Well, and I'm curious, is it going to, like, supposedly it's going to be the whole game? I can't imagine that's
you can just turn it on like a camera anywhere.
People are going to, there's going to be so much vomit all over the world.
All over the world.
People are just going to be spewing.
Maybe people will get skinnier. Maybe that's what I should do.
Oh, yeah, that's one way to do it.
Play Breath of the Wild VR.
VR-induced bulimia.
And just vomit out all my food until I'm skinny. All right. Well, new diet plan.
Yeah, there you go.
That sounds good.
We got a lot to offer.
Yeah, if you are listening and you're enjoying this, give us a follow on Tech Yeah Podcast on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah,
if you'd like to correspond like V did this week.
Yeah, and thanks again, V. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I hope we, I don't know if we answered your question but we certainly talked at length about it. So.
Oh, do you think I should go back and redact her name from the earlier part?
Nah, I don't think she cares that much.
I don't either. I'll ask her. techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. I totally forgot like where I was at. techyeahpodcast@gmail.com. And go to YouTube and check out our videos. Just search Tech Yeah Podcast. We are not cool enough to have a custom URL yet. So
but we're always there.
That takes
anytime you want to find us, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, check us out. We just dropped a video talking about Mortal Kombat 11, and we'll drop another one this week. It is hot fire. And I stole a video of all the fatalities I put on there.
Oh, nice.
You can see the original video in the comments if you want to check it out.
Always link through.
Yeah, always got to link through. But cool. Thank you guys. We love you and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.